Hello there, Kyle Katarn here, coming back with another Star Wars reaction. The Mandalorian Season 3 episode of Disney Gallery has finally arrived. Shout out to Nerdchronic for editing this reaction and sneaking it past the Disney blockade. Appreciate your work, sir. I feel like it took a long time for this one. Season 3 ended a while ago. Regardless, I'm very excited that it's finally here. I really enjoyed Season 3. I know that there were some mixed opinions about the finale, but I was all in. I thought it was amazing. It definitely hit me right in my inner child playing with action figures. Like it was right on the money for something that I would have done on my own living room floor back as a child. And the jetpack charge of the two groups into each other, that was my favorite part, I think. That looked so good. So I hope they talk about that effect in this. All right, well, without further ado, let's check out Disney Gallery Mandalorian Season 3. Do it! Din Djarin. We've watched his character come a long way. Is that Deborah Chow? Oh, look at the pit droid stand-ins. They're adorable.
We introduced a lot of new characters in the second season, and each one of them had their own trajectory.
The Darksaber, it belongs to you.
God, Gideon was great. I feel like he was underused in Season 3. I would have liked to have seen his prison escape.
We met other fantastic storytellers like Rick Famuyiwa, who became a part of our team, Noah Clore, who became a part of our team.
I really like Rick Famuyiwa's episodes. He's very, like, detail-oriented. Shows a lot of how stuff works.
It's a group of us, and our galaxy is getting bigger and more fuller than it's ever been before.
Absolutely.
It is also about pushing the medium of filmmaking forward.
God, look at that cockpit rig.
Really, to ask myself a question, which is become a part of my mantra now. What am I going to learn today?
I thought his mantra was #BePeace.
You can learn something from them, and I steal it all.
Oh, live-action clones.
Founding spirit, I think, of
It's still wild to me. This is where we get our first live-action clones. They were all CGI in the prequels.
I was a director on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse,
Nice.
among a couple of other things.
Just watched that for the first time recently. It was amazing.
And who sort of had a background in dealing with the kind of pre-visualization that you do.
I love that he said pre-visualization as we get to see Paz Vizsla. The lineage of pre-Vizsla. Oh my God, Gorian's shard was all practical?
And my editor was telling me, you have to watch this show called Mandalorian. If there's any way I can talk to Jon Favreau, I'd love to just, say hello to him and then ask him for a job.
You're not the only one, man.
I basically told him I would love to do this show if it's possible. And he told me, okay, we'll have you. It just really blew my mind. And
Jon Favreau seems like he's really easygoing in terms of who he brings into the fold. Like, Koska Reeves, he saw Mercedes Vernado on wrestling one night and then was like, yeah, we'll bring her in.
I think my background in cinematography absolutely informs my work as a director.
Look at that.
I think with my heart, I feel with my heart, I shoot with my heart. This experience has been really eye-opening for me.
Look at Grogu's ears flapping.
The better part of at least a couple decades thinking.
I love that they did the flying is all practical like that.
You drop anything that one can relate to into a world and it's still grounded and, and it's still relatable and it's still emotional.
Even if it's totally alien, That's a great way to look at it. All we need is something to relate to.
Allowing a helmet or a mask to be the face of a character. That's something I really associate with the original trilogy and growing up.
Boba Fett,
Darth
Vader.
You think of the droids.
Totally the droids, yep.
It was really the combination of these characters that became the heart and soul, and we knew that we had to work our way to that inevitable separation. This season was about bringing them back together again.
A Mandalorian has to understand maps and know their way around.
That's a really interesting thing to think about. Like, would the Mandalorian have been as successful without Grogu? I don't think it would have. And part of that is because he's hidden, he's inaccessible. You need the facial expression of Grogu alongside. Like, they are a two-part lead,
where he took off his helmet in order to help the child.
All right, pal.
There are repercussions that happen because of that.
You have removed your helmet.
It's true. It's such a big deal. It's like if he takes his helmet off once a season, he's going to spend the whole next season paying for it.
Bo, in many respects, this season is also the Mandalorian.
Love that practical Darksaber.
So much about her story and her journey.
I'm glad he finally just acknowledged that she is also the Mandalorian. So many people complain that we spent so much screen time with Bo without Din. But he's not the only Mandalorian in the story.
She earned her stripes in adventures that we've all seen, from, you know, nobility, and she's been part of, you know, Death Watch. She's existed in many different...
Nobility, terrorists.
She believes in the Darksaber, but the Darksaber alone isn't going to make you a great leader. She has to want to be this leader, and she has to have belief in herself.
She was a character that had not completed her life's journey of where she was.
I think her season 3 hair looked much better.
Within this season, we are really getting to experience a full journey where Katie can just absolutely bring this knowledge and experience that she has because she's played this character for over a decade.
I've learned from the best, including you.
I wish I was good at something other than war.
I mean, bo-katan's been in the Clone Wars for a very long time, but I like that they used a shot from the Disney-produced season of the Clone Wars. I noticed that.
We didn't know how season 3 was going to wrap up, but we knew that we were going to have to go to Mandalore at some point. We knew that we couldn't just hit reset and start over again. What was true for the character was going to be that he was going to have to receive some sort of redemption.
Redemption is no longer possible since the destruction of our home.
See, that's the thing. Like, you can criticize Din for, like, holding to the tenets of this creed that have seemingly abandoned Mandalore, but, like, it's important to him to redeem himself.
George Lucas came up with the idea that the planet itself was devastated, so it's pretty much a virtual desert on the surface.
We looked at the nuclear Trinity test site, where the explosion was so hot that it fused the sand into a glass-like material.
Nice. Got that exact same color.
So it fused into this shiny material with this green color that...
Fusion rays, that's what they called it in the show.
And eventually we settled on a process that used a special resin that gave us something that really looked like the concept art and was durable. You've got to do something that's going to last.
Look at that volume perspective shift. It still blows my mind.
Andrew had given me a call and said, you need to sculpt a cave set, and then Phil Tippett,
the master,
and bring his team in and actually put all of the flavor on the inside of this.
Part of what our memory is of Star Wars from growing up is a lot of it is Phil's aesthetic. Whether it was the Dejeric chessboard with the stop motion.
It's one of my favorite stop motion sequences. That and the Rancor, yep.
Because we wanted the Mines of Mandalore to look different from anything else we had in the show. And of course, Phil Tippett's aesthetic was something that we thought we would really benefit from.
Absolutely. Looks like Mad God down here.
According to ancient folklore, the mines were once a Mythosaur lair. Mandalore the Great is said to have tamed...
I still think Grogu's riding that Mythosaur. I still think that's going to happen.
The Mythosaur originates from a graphic that was included in the costume of Boba Fett. And there's talk that the Mythosaur was ridden by the Mandalore and that it was a creature that was evolved on that planet. And we referenced it in all the way back in season 1 when he's learning how to ride the blurg.
Your ancestors rode the mighty Mythosaur.
Your ancestors rode the great Mythosaur. Surely you can ride this.
When he said that in season 1, I knew we were going to see one eventually. That's like Chekhov's Mythosaur, you know?
How could we incorporate? A lot of great creative minds have been contributing to Star Wars over the years. There's a really great feeling of satisfaction.
Definitely.
That you have this delayed gratification of something paying off.
Yeah, they've been showing us Mythosaur skulls left and right the whole show, and then we finally get to see one.
If the creature gets up out of the water and reveals itself, it's just way too obvious. It has to be something isolated, something that only she sees, something that she has to make a choice. Did I really see that? How is that even possible?
I love all the bubbles coming out from under her helmet. She's like screaming. She's like, "Wah! What the hell?" Bo-Katan, cool as a cucumber, totally loses her composure seeing that thing. All the bubbles flowing out from her helmet prove it.
Why are all of these things that shouldn't be possible? Why does this Mandalorian Din Djarin believe in all this?
Oh, look, he's got the rare
hokey
Mandalorian helmet attachment.
But it was real. This is the way.
This is the way. It's a very convenient phrase. It can be used to very ambiguously answer any statement.
For season 3, we were challenged with creating 7 distinct environments. One of the most fascinating ones for me was actually revisiting Coruscant.
I loved that. Imperial Center.
Amazing. All these people working together to make something better. Makes me feel rather insignificant.
I always love getting to see Coruscant in the original trilogy era because it's always fascinated me because we didn't see it till the prequels originally.
in the prequel films, you only see a small portion of that. So there's a lot of layers of design that have always been figured out, and we never really had an opportunity to execute them. Coruscant has this very unique form language for these speeders, air taxis. It's almost exactly the same color palette, and we just made it into our own bespoke version for our show.
Love it. That's so cool that Doug Chiang actually created most of the planet, but we haven't seen a lot of what they've mapped out. I want to see the rest of the world. Woo!
We are not
the
making
fucking
typical
goat.
TV. I've been involved throughout my career with doing television, man.
I'm
This
so
is
happy
my
for Ahmed
future.
Best getting
It
his
is
hero moment,
so
man.
much bigger.
Look at that. Must have been so much fun for him.
The episode that I was fortunate enough to direct, you know, we opened with this great sequence of training.
Can't believe this kid blew a 2-point lead. Look at this. Come on, Ragnar.
We try to give the audience something that they've never seen before.
Maileron. I think it's either Hot Toys or Sideshow just came out with a statue of Grogu crushing the Maileron in IG-12. I love it.
We didn't even think it was going to be a puppet the whole time. We thought it'd be CG. You know, John's coming off of making Lion King and Jungle Book, where the CG is.
I mean, that would have been the natural assumption, but then they were able to come up with something so perfect for the puppet.
Believe in the puppet. And, you know, well, the world did.
I would like to see the baby.
Perfect. Perfect use of footage. Yeah, going with practical effects is always going to be the right choice, especially for Star Wars, especially for a Yoda-style creature. It's got to be a puppet, man.
He's kind of got this personality of his own that we all understand.
Bad baby.
We've shown little glimpses and clips of his memory, most recently in the Book of Boba Fett.
Get the youngling to Kelleran, go!
What was
Keller
clear
and
was we
Beck.
needed Grogu to have a type of savior, companion. For me, it's always nice when it's somebody, quote unquote, in the family here at Lucasfilm carrying the banner. And, you know, Ahmed Best has been such an important part of our Star Wars history.
God, look at him.
Don't worry,
Looks so good.
Everything's gonna be okay.
From Jedi Temple Challenge.
He grew up as part of it through all different eras of it.
John, we haven't seen each other since I was 16 years old on the prequels. Because I was hanging around on the during the prequels.
And he also has, you know, martial arts training.
It hasn't really hit me yet. I never thought I'd be back, to be honest.
So happy for him.
But hold on, it's gonna be a bumpy landing.
Naboo Starfighter. Which means his friend is either Padme or Jar Jar Binks.
Part of it this season has been fun, just playing around with different things that we can do with jetpacks, and we've definitely got to play with a lot more different fun ideas.
Totally. And they managed to make it look so good and believable too. Like before the Mandalorian came around, I thought to myself, like, using a jetpack like a Mandalorian on TV sounds so expensive. Like, how would you film that convincingly without CGI? But here we are.
One of the challenges for us this season was the amount of Mandalorian weapons, the quantity of. So what we normally do is we'll start with the artwork. We show the illustrations to John and Dave and Rick and Doug. Mando's blaster is iconic. I love that gun. We've had it for 3 seasons, and it's a big change to go.
Yeah, his
to a new
blaster's
blaster
awesome.
for Mando, but I think it works really well.
It's always reminded me of Boba Fett's sidearm that he like never uses.
Creating, 60 brand new Mandalorians from the 3 different tribes was amazing. We got to do a survivor look, the original covert look, bo-katan group, former, I guess, Death Watch or former Night Owls.
I wanted the bo-katan to have a specific style cut out. And so it's based on a barn owl. It's like the beak of the barn owl and the eyes of the barn owl.
Oh, I never put that together. Of course. The Night Owls, of course it is. That's cool.
Each individual Mandalorian tells a story, and that's always what I tell my artists. I want to know the story behind the choices that we're making for every crack, every stitch.
The first few times I wore the armor, I had to rely so much on what I knew it looked like because it felt incredibly awkward.
At the Emerald City Comic-Con panel last year, Katie Sackhoff told us that the hardest thing was having to go to the bathroom because it took forever to get in and out of the suit.
This is my 4th season working with the Mandalorian family.
Oh, right, because of Book of Boba Fett.
It's the introduction of a new planet. It's the introduction of a new cast
Christopher Lloyd,
of characters we've never seen
Lizzo,
before.
Jack Black. This episode was a trip, man. I did not expect any of this. I knew Christopher Lloyd was going to be in it ahead of time, but not in this kind of a role. Amazing.
Is Bombardier a dancer?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
It's got bomb in the name. How can he just be a facilities planner?
Lizzo and Jack have been very public about their, support for Star Wars.
Oh my god! Yes, I got my Grogu hat on.
Perfect.
I'm a huge fan.
Oh, that's so wholesome. I love it.
Their enthusiasm was absolutely infectious.
Who wouldn't want to party with Bombardier?
I'd party with Bombardier.
But I had to go with Fat helmet when I was doing the Mandalorian theme song. Love that theme song.
Amazing.
Behind the scenes.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate you. God, he's so Jack Black all the time.
They infused so much energy and enthusiasm and passion.
It's so clear they're having like the best day of their entire lives. And Yoda helps her cheat. I love it. Look at that practical B1. Amazing.
When you look around the room, you're seeing droids from all of our films, from all different eras, all sort of in this one environment.
And that was just an enormous amount of fun and also really complicated.
He looks a little bit like he's giving a middle finger.
One of the things that's important to depict in terms of droids is having the majority of them be practical droids, like actually
Always the choice. Always the best choice.
performed and operated by human beings.
That's what we love about droids, is how physical they are and how real they are.
It was really fun.
That's awesome. And they got Bollocks and Blue Max in there from the Han Solo Adventures, which is amazing.
Then I challenge you, one warrior to another.
This was a sweet fight.
It's this epic fight between bo-katan and Axe Woves, played by Simon.
In my episode, his character Axe Woves was originally written to die. Simon is so wonderful. Part of the reason why we wanted to keep him around is because he's so great.
I had no idea I'd be back. And not only am I back, but I've come back to this.
He was at the Emerald City panel too. He said the reason he wasn't in season 2 is he got left in the bathroom. Or at during the finale in season 2.
Mandalorian belief is that whoever possesses the Darksaber rules Mandalore. And for anyone who has seen Clone Wars and Rebels, they know that bo-katan accepted it one time.
And look how that turned out.
That moment led to the Night of 1,000 Tears, which was the destruction of the planet and the people.
Interestingly, all of the blame goes to Bo-Katan for accepting it, but no one blames Sabine for giving it to her?
I think people expected Mando. He had the sword. He's going to change from a traveling bounty hunter to, Aragorn or something. And you felt like, oh, that seems like where you're going to go with it.
That's what it felt like to me.
If you notice, from the first time he uses the Darksaber, it's heavy for him. Even the armor tells him that.
There. Feel it?
But then Bo-Katan gets her hands on the Darksaber when Din Djarin's trapped.
And immediately goes to town with it. I
like
did notice that.
foil.
I attributed that to her having classical battle training with the old school Mandalore Guard, but that could be just that she's chosen,
What many may have expected to be a showdown between the two of them ends up with them both going for something very different.
They need each other, and we are learning all the time that we need other people to help us in our life. That's why these things are powerful and relatable.
For Mandalore!
A feeling of hope, a feeling of adventure, but more so uplifting positivity to be happening. I think we need a range of stories and experiences in Star Wars that go from being cute and fun to being serious and dark.
Absolutely. There's so much room for different thematic, there's so many different genres within Star Wars to tell stories.
If you
This
want to see
ridiculous
Baby Yoda
contraption.
walking
I love it. It's so stupid, but I love it.
There's always been a certain charisma. I mean, from Vader on, there's an attraction to these characters, and I
For
think
sure.
that is what Giancarlo brought to the role of Moff Gideon.
Oh, he's so good. You love to hate him in this.
I have constructed the next generation Dark Trooper suit.
forged from Beskar armor. The most impressive one is that it has meaning.
He's such a ham. It's perfect.
Part of what the success of Mando is that we're talking about mythology. Even Moff's journey somewhat as a warlord with aspiration, even his journey is the hero's journey because he's looking for something he doesn't have.
It's true. He's on just as much of an arc. Oh, Brendel Hux in the flesh. I love that it's Domhnall Gleeson's brother to really bring that family resemblance.
One of our really wonderful challenges for Mandalore is we want to imply that there was a hidden base where Moff Gideon was actually conducting his experiments. We thought that there might be these pockets of natural caves, and that's where the Empire would come in and actually modify some of that architecture, but then build their Empire aesthetic to it.
I thought it was a really cool blend of like the gray Imperial steel and then just like rocky hewn cave walls.
And so that whole environment is now the centerpiece for this giant battle at the very end.
Our final battle between Moff and Bo, which turns into the final battle between Mando, the kid.
I really did love the way they wrapped it all up with the retaking of Mandalore, but I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more Gideon out of this. His death almost, I don't want to say too easy, but it felt like we could have gotten more scenes with him before that point, maybe.
Lateef is one of the best stunt performers I've ever worked with in my life. We had an opportunity to actually do some stunts and some fights together, and I loved every minute of it.
My biggest struggle with Katie is just trying to tell her no.
And then you slide across the floor and you bring out your shield, but you immediately come back up and start shooting again, and the sparks are gonna come down. But don't do that stuff, Katie. We'll do that with Joanna.
And she's like, no way, I'm doing it.
Run, knee slide, shield up, guns, keep going, right? And he went, well, yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. So I just did it.
Hell yeah.
JJ, our stunt coordinator, scream at the end of it because he screamed at me like I was his child that had just done something that was told not to do, but that he was also slightly proud of. Katie!
That was awesome. That's great.
And I'll give you a warrior's death.
Let's fucking go. Their duel was badass, though.
One day that Moff Gideon probably would meet his demise, and that wasn't a problem for me at all. It's just when and how. You don't see that brutal demise or death, and there's always a possibility that the rise from the ashes is
That's
possible.
true. I do feel like that, like, they're clearly killing him off, but it feels just innately survivable just because it's Star Wars and motherfuckers get cut in half and come back. So, like, fully encased in Beskar, you could survive an explosion, maybe.
Din Djarin's a Mandalorian, but he's not from there. He's become one because of the way he lives his life and what he values and who he's met. And Grogu is in this family, not because that's his biological dad, but because they're fulfilling those roles.
Absolutely.
In each other's lives.
Found family.
With Star Wars, most of the time it's about family. Different types of families. Families that are created out of necessity, friends that come together, people that have things in common that create a bond. And that's something that people are relating to in this great galaxy.
The role that you fill in each other's lives. I like that that's where this landed. I don't know that that was what we set out to do, but storytelling isn't always about what you set out to do. It's what you discover and what comes out.
It really feels like there is a like rudimentary outline for where this show is headed, but they're kind of just making it up as they go along for the day-to-day. For what happens within a specific season, you know?
It might feel like the ending of one adventure, but it's always the beginning of another now.
Where's he going to show back up? Is it going to be Mando Season 4, or is he appearing in Ahsoka? He is officially one of Ahsoka's allies now, so he could definitely make an appearance there. Amazing. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Mando Season 3, and this was a really cool look behind the scenes. The only thing they didn't show me that I was really hoping I'd get to see was a look at how they brought Gara Zebarelios from Rebels into live action for that one little stinger shot at the end. Because, oh man, he looked so good. I was so impressed with that. Really hoping we get more of him in Ahsoka, but we don't know for sure if he's even in it. This was fantastic. I definitely enjoyed Season 3. A little bit of time has passed at this point since watching it, and watching this behind the scenes makes me want to go back and rewatch my favorite moments from those episodes. Because, God, there were some really cool highlights, honestly. I'm going to Plaisir. The droid bar was phenomenal. I am of the camp that thought that Lizzo and Jack Black looked perfectly in place in Star Wars. They didn't take me out of it at all. I found them fully believable as characters. Christopher Lloyd, honestly, it was harder for me to wrap my mind around, like, oh, whoa, what is Christopher Lloyd doing here? Somehow that seemed more of an anomaly to me than Jack Black being Captain Bombardier. Like, somehow he felt like a Clone Wars character. Didn't he just feel like one of the background characters from animation who's in like a single arc? He definitely brought that energy, and it made it feel authentic. Getting to hear Doug Chiang talk about designing the entire planet of Coruscant, not just the moments that we got to see in the prequels, and then again now, is so extremely exciting to me. I want to see the rest of it. I got to see what else he's done. Coruscant has always fascinated me, specifically Imperial era, or I should say original trilogy era Coruscant. Granted, we're a couple years outside of that now in Mando times, but we never saw it in the originals. We saw it in the prequels. They added it to Return of the Jedi in the special edition. But Coruscant was always like this like special treat kind of planet. You hear about it in the comics. You heard about it in the books. We finally get to see it. And then in Jedi Outcast, the Kal-Katarn video game, you get to go to Coruscant. And this was like hot off the heels. This was like 2002, I believe. So hot off the heels of the prequels, Attack of the Clones came out the same year, and you got to go and have a meeting with Mon Mothma on Coruscant with Jan Ors, and you got to see the cityscape out the window, and I remember being so impressed by that, and like so excited that we were getting a prequel location in an original trilogy context, and now we get to have that realized in live action, getting to see it in Mando, and also in Andor. Like Andor really did it in a really believable, like, tangible way. It felt like a real living city, and then in Mandalore, and then in the Mandalorian season 3, it felt more like the set piece from the originals, like that we know and love. And both interpretations were fantastic. Yeah, this was awesome. I really enjoyed this, honestly. And like I said, I think I'm gonna go back and rewatch Mando now because this has really got me in the mood. Love it. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed my reaction to Disney Gallery Mandalorian season 3. This was a lot of fun. I hope season 4 we get some sort of announcement or news or something before the end of the year. That's on my wish list. Don't know how realistic that is though. For now, I think we're going to be setting all sights on Ahsoka, and I'm sure we're going to be getting some trailers for that soon because we're only like a month and a half away. Yeah, very excited. Check out the rest of the channel for more content, reactions, and reviews. Let me know what you thought of the Disney Gallery. Let me know what you thought of Mandalorian Season 3. There's a lot of opinions out there, and I'd love to hear from you guys. This reaction was edited by Nerdchronic to comply with fair use. If you want to check out the full-length, uncut version of this reaction, it's available on Patreon. There's a link in the description of the video to the Patreon page. If you sign up on Patreon, you'll be helping me out by supporting the channel, but you'll get access to a whole bunch of full-length reactions of all kinds of things, including The Mandalorian, Star Wars Rebels, and a bunch of Grizzled Wizard content from my other channel as well, like the Legend of Korra reactions, Avatar reactions, things of that nature. So check that out. Thanks again, and as always, may the Force be with you.